There's a comfortable lie that almost everyone believes, that power is noise, confrontation, exposure. But the truth, and this may be unsettling, is that the truly dangerous almost never raise their voices. They don't argue, they don't explain themselves, they don't engage in open warfare. They observe, they wait, and they act at the precise moment, without warning, without emotion, without leaving a trace. While most try to win by shouting, they win in silence. And this is where many people go wrong, because they were taught to react, to defend themselves, to prove their worth all the time. But in the real game, the one that the prince describes between the lines, those who react too much expose themselves, and those who expose themselves too much lose. It's that simple. Traitors don't show up with a sign saying who they are. They test limits, observe your reactions, gather information, and wait for you to let your guard down. And when you realize it, you're already in their game. But there's a different way to play, a way where you don't need to confront, you don't need to prove anything, and yet you still maintain total control of the situation. A system where the end justifies the means, but without any apparent dirt. Where you avoid being hated, but are never underestimated. Where your strength lies not in what you show, but in what you choose to hide. And if you understand this until the end, you will realize that true power does not lie in eliminating traitors by force, but in making them eliminate themselves without even realizing it. If something inside you awakened while listening, don't ignore that feeling. This channel isn't about videos, it's about memories. Remember who you were before the fear, before the exhaustion, before the silence. Each new video here is a different reflection of your own soul, an invitation to understand what the world never taught you. The power you seek outside has always been within you. If you feel that this journey speaks to what lives silently within you, sign up now, not to follow yet another creator, but to reconnect with something the world tried to make you forget. Because here, every word was made to heal, each reflection to awaken, and each video serves as a reminder. You are not alone on the path back to yourself. Click on subscribe and turn the algorithm into a daily reminder of who you really are. There's a brutal and almost invisible difference between those who react and those who observe. Most people believe that silence is weakness, that not responding is losing ground. But in practice, the opposite happens. When someone decides not to react, they create a vacuum. And a psychological vacuum is unsettling. It's so unsettling that the other side, especially those who play dirty, start talking more than necessary. That's when the game changes. Those who understand this apply, without realizing it, very old principles, like those that the prince suggests between the lines, decisions based on real human nature, not on naive idealisms. The manipulator needs a reaction as fuel. They provoke, test, throw indirect hints, all waiting for a signal. But when they receive nothing, they begin to become internally disorganized. It's like an actor without an audience. And then, without realizing it, they expose themselves. They reveal their intentions, show impatience, give away their strategy. Silence at this level is not absence. It's pressure. It's like holding a powerful card and not showing it. And those who have understood this know the end justifies the means when the goal is not to be controlled. Now, consider a simple everyday situation. Someone at work tries to pressure you with artificial urgency. I need this now. It's urgent. Most people play along, respond quickly, over-explain, and put themselves at a disadvantage. But those who master silence, breathe, observe, and simply don't react at the expected time. They might even respond, but not at the pace imposed by the other person. This breaks the pattern. And when the pattern breaks, the manipulator loses control of the narrative. That's exactly where virtù and fortuna come in, the ability to act at the right moment with awareness of the context. It's not about being cold all the time, but about choosing when to take a stand. Silence, when used well, becomes a kind of calculated use of force, invisible, elegant, almost imperceptible. And the most interesting thing, you don't need to confront anyone directly. You just need to not deliver what they expect from you. And that, in itself, completely changes the game. But there's a detail that few people realize. Maintaining silence requires inner control, because the natural impulse is to react, to defend oneself, to explain oneself, to prove something. And that's where most people lose, because by reacting, they give away information. And information, in this context, is power. Those who talk too much show their emotional state, reveal insecurity, give away patterns. Those who remain silent observe, learn, collect data, and this creates an absurd advantage over time. It's as if you were putting together a puzzle of the other person's behavior piece by piece without them realizing it. And when you least expect it, you start to see patterns, small signs, hidden intentions. But this opens a new layer of the game, because it's not enough to just remain silent. At some point, you realize that true power lies not only in not reacting, but in controlling when and how the game unfolds. There's a silent trap that almost everyone falls into, and it doesn't seem dangerous at first glance. It's haste. But not your haste, the haste that someone tries to impose on you. Dirty players master this like few others. They create artificial urgency, pressure decisions, accelerate conversations, all to throw you off balance. Because when you accelerate without thinking, you start deciding outside of logic and within emotion, and that's exactly what they want. Those who truly understand the game know that power isn't about acting quickly. It's about controlling the timing of the action. Niccolò Machiavelli already made this clear when talking about politics guided by reality, not ideals. The real world doesn't reward those who react too quickly. It rewards those who react correctly. And reacting correctly almost always requires slowing down. When you reduce the pace, you create mental space. And in that space, you see what would have previously gone unnoticed. The urgency disappears, and with it, the control of the other person. Now, imagine a negotiation. It could be financial, professional, or even personal. The other person says, "I need this answer today." It seems reasonable, but is it really? Someone who controls the pace doesn't automatically accept this imposition. They pause, they analyze. Perhaps they'll respond, "I'll evaluate it calmly and get back to you." Simple as that. No lengthy justifications, no anxiety, no fear of losing the opportunity. And here's an essential point. Whoever controls time controls the perception of value. When you're available all the time, respond immediately, decide under pressure. You lose authority without realizing it. But when you slow down, you create an aura of decision-making based on strategy, not impulse. This connects directly to another silent principle. Avoid being hated, but also don't be easily dominated. It's a fine line, but extremely powerful. And the curious thing is, the more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. You start to notice patterns of manipulation even before they are completed. But slowing down isn't just about time. It's about posture. It's about not getting caught up in the other person's emotional rhythm. Because often, urgency comes loaded with emotion, pressure, anxiety, even mild aggression. And if you enter that field, you lose clarity. Whoever masters the game maintains their own rhythm, regardless of the scenario. It's almost like watching a scene from the outside, even while being inside it. And that changes everything, because while the other person tries to pull you into chaos, you remain stable. And stability in this type of dynamic is raw power. But this stability demands something even more difficult. It's not enough to control the response time. You need to control what you reveal while responding. There's a silent mistake that reveals more than any words, showing exactly how you feel. Most people think emotional transparency is always a virtue, but in the real game of human interactions, it can become a strategic weakness. Visible emotion is information, and information in the wrong hands becomes leverage. Those who understand this don't stop feeling, but they learn not to expose it. It's a subtle yet decisive difference. As Niccolo Machiavelli would teach, the appearance of virtue is often worth more than real emotion. You may be irritated, pressured, insecure, but outwardly you maintain neutrality, and this neutrality confuses. It disarms, because the manipulator depends on emotional reading to adjust the attack. If they perceive fear, they pressure. If they perceive insecurity, they dominate. But when they can't read it, no, they hesitate. And hesitation in this game is a loss of advantage. Imagine a common situation. Someone tries to provoke you, makes a snide comment, throws shade. The automatic reaction would be to respond, defend yourself, maybe even confront you. But someone who masters this level of the game does something different. They observe and give nothing away. No anger, no justification, no explanation. They might respond neutrally or even ignore it completely. This creates a powerful psychological effect. The other person begins to doubt their own interpretation. Did it work? Did they understand? Did I overreact? And at that moment, control shifts. This is where the calculated use of force comes in, not as aggression, but as containment. Because containing a reaction requires more force than reacting. And those who can do this consistently build a presence that is difficult to manipulate. Little by little, you cease to be predictable. And predictability is exactly what the other person needs to control you. But here's the deeper point. Controlling external emotion isn't about seeming cold, distant, or artificial. It's about choosing what to show and when to show it. There's a huge difference between being emotionally intelligent and being emotionally exposed. Those who master this game remain human, continue to create connection, but never surrender their own center to another person. And this requires practice. Small, everyday situations are already training grounds. Responding to messages without rushing, not justifying decisions unnecessarily, not reacting to minor provocations. It seems simple, but few do it. And that's exactly why few have this level of control. But as you begin to better conceal your inner state, something interesting happens. The people around you start talking more, trying to understand what you're thinking. There's an almost automatic tendency in human beings to fill the silence. Few can bear to be in the presence of someone who merely observes, without interrupting, without reacting, without validating. And that's precisely why this is one of the most powerful moves someone can make. When you speak less, the other person speaks more. It's that simple. And the more they speak, the more they reveal. Those who understand this game don't enter the competition for space in the conversation. They create space. And this space becomes a field of exposure. This is where the strategy begins to take real shape, based on decisions guided by real human nature, not by ideals. Because in practice, people don't control themselves as much as they imagine. They give themselves away, especially when they feel they are being heard. And it's at this point that you begin to see beyond the words, inconsistencies, exaggerations, hidden intentions, as if you were seeing the backstage of a poorly rehearsed script. Now imagine a more tense conversation, a negotiation, an argument, or even someone trying to convince you of something. Most people feel the need to argue, rebut, and take a stand all the time. But those who master this level do the opposite. They listen. and they truly listen, without rushing to respond. They might even use subtle prompts like, "I understand, continue," or simply an attentive look. This encourages the other person to keep talking, and the more they talk, the more details emerge. Often, the person themselves ends up contradicting themselves, revealing weaknesses in their own narrative. This isn't cheap manipulation, it's strategic intelligence. It's the silent application of virtu and fortuna, knowing when to act and when to let the other person act for you. Because in the end, those who talk too much lose control of their own message, and those who observe gain control over their interpretation of the situation. But this type of listening isn't passive. It's active and extremely strategic. You're not just listening, you're analyzing patterns, tone of voice, repeated words, changes in behavior. It's like building a mental map of the other person in real time. And this map, over time, becomes an incredible advantage. Because you start to predict movements before they even happen. And here's a point that few realize: speaking less also protects you. Because every word you say can be used, interpreted, distorted. Silence, on the other hand, leaves no trace. It creates a kind of invisible shield. And the more you master this, the more you realize that true power lies not in convincing, but in not needing to convince. But there's something even more subtle in this game. It's not enough to just listen and observe. At some point, you need to decide where to place your attention. There's a type of power that no one directly teaches, but that controls practically all human interactions: attention. Those who understand this begin to notice a curious pattern. Many people don't necessarily want to beat you. They want your attention, because attention validates, reinforces, and fuels behavior. It's like an invisible fuel, and manipulators know this, even if intuitively. They provoke, insist, create situations, all to pull your focus. And the more you respond, the more you reinforce their game. Now, those who learn to withdraw this reward begin to completely change the dynamic. Because without attention, behavior loses strength. This is where the principle of avoiding being hated but also not being controlled applies almost silently. You don't confront directly, you simply stop feeding the problem. And this, in practice, is much more uncomfortable for the other person than any open confrontation. Think of simple situations: someone who constantly complains, provokes, and tries to drag you into unnecessary arguments. The common response is to engage, to argue, correct, rebut. But this only reinforces the pattern. Now imagine doing the opposite, responding minimally or not responding at all, redirecting the focus, not giving them a platform. At first it may seem strange, even uncomfortable, but the effect quickly appears. The person starts trying more, then less, until they stop, because there is no going back. This is the calculated use of force in its most subtle form. You don't need to attack or defend yourself. You just stop supporting the other person's behavior, and this connects directly to a very clear logic. The end justifies the means when the goal is to preserve your energy and focus. Not every battle is worth fighting, and those who understand this save time, energy, and even reputation. But here's an even deeper point. Withdrawing attention isn't just about others, it's about you, about where you choose to invest your focus, because attention also builds reality. If you direct your energy towards pointless conflicts, you start living surrounded by them. But if you consciously choose where to focus your gaze, you begin to build a completely different environment. And this requires discipline, small daily decisions, not responding to everything, not engaging in every discussion, not trying to correct everyone. It seems simple, but it's rare, and that's exactly why it becomes a silent competitive advantage. But as you begin to better control your attention, an even more strategic need arises. It's not enough to decide where to look. You also need to decide what to reveal about yourself while being observed. There's an unspoken rule that few follow, but it completely changes the game. Those who talk too much reveal too much. Most people believe that constantly expressing themselves is a sign of confidence, but in practice, it's exposure. Every detail you share, plans, insecurities, routines, even small opinions, can become leverage in the hands of someone more strategic. And this isn't about paranoia, it's about awareness. Those who understand this begin to filter what they say, when they say it, and to whom they say it. As Niccolo Machiavelli would teach, decisions based on real human nature require caution, not naivete. Not everyone around you has good intentions, and even those who do can use information thoughtlessly. Speaking less in this context isn't hiding, it's protecting your position. It's building a presence where you are perceived, but not completely deciphered. Now observe how this happens in everyday life. Someone asks too many questions about your plans, your next decisions, your moves. It seems like interest, but often it's information gathering, and most people answer without thinking. They explain everything, detail everything, reveal everything, but those who play on another level do things differently. They answer enough, but never everything. They keep strategic parts silent. This creates a kind of invisible shield. Because without enough information, the other person can't predict your next steps, and predictability is one of the greatest vulnerabilities someone can have. This is where the idea of the appearance of virtue comes in. You may seem open, accessible, even transparent, but internally you maintain control over what really matters. It's a sophisticated form of calculated use of force without needing to confront anyone. But the most interesting point is that speaking less doesn't diminish your influence. It increases it, because silence creates curiosity, mystery. People start trying to fill in the gaps, to imagine, to interpret. And this completely changes their perception of you. Instead of someone totally predictable, you become someone strategic, difficult to read. And this naturally elevates your standing in any environment. However, as you begin to better protect your information, a new layer opens up. It's not enough to just keep it to yourself. You begin to realize that observing others without exposing yourself gives you an even greater advantage. Because while you protect yourself, you also learn. There's a skill that completely separates those who react from those who master the game. The ability to observe without revealing oneself. Most people enter interactions wanting to be understood, heard, validated. But those who operate on another level do the opposite. They seek to understand first. They observe patterns, behaviors, subtle changes in tone, details that go unnoticed by almost everyone else. And here's the key point. Observing isn't just looking, it's interpreting. It's connecting signals, like someone silently assembling a puzzle. Niccolo Machiavelli already pointed out something essential. Decisions based on real human nature require accurate reading of people, not idealistic assumptions. And when you truly begin to observe, you realize that people show much more than they imagine. Small gestures, repetitions of speech, subtle contradictions, all of this reveals intention. But to grasp this, you need to be silent, and not just externally, but internally as well. Imagine a competitive environment. It could be a meeting, a negotiation, or even a social group. While many are trying to position themselves, prove something, show value, there is someone quiet, attentive, analyzing. They notice who interrupts the most, who avoids certain topics, who changes their posture under pressure, and over time they begin to understand the invisible dynamics of that environment. Who influences whom? Who depends on whom? Who is insecure? This isn't luck, it's observational training, and this information accumulated over time becomes an incredible advantage. Because while others are playing on autopilot, you are playing with a complete map. This connects directly to virtù and fortuna. It's not just about acting well, it's about acting with awareness of the scenario. And when you understand the scenario, your decisions cease to be reactive and become strategic. You don't engage in every conflict, you don't respond to every provocation. You choose your moves, but here's the most powerful detail. Observing without reacting creates an asymmetry. While the other person knows almost nothing about you, you begin to know a lot about them. And this difference in information completely changes the power dynamic. It's like playing chess, knowing your opponent's next moves. But this advantage only exists if you maintain discipline, because the impulse to take a stand, to show what you know, to correct, always appears. And whoever gives in to this impulse loses part of the advantage. Therefore, observation is a continuous process. It's not something you do once, it's a habit. And the more you practice, the more refined your reading becomes. But inevitably, there comes a point when observing is no longer enough. You realize that to maintain total control of the dynamic, knowing when to leave becomes as important as knowing when to stay. There's a move few dare to make, and precisely for that reason, few master it, leaving at the right moment. Most people associate withdrawal with weakness, loss, giving up. But in the real game, the opposite is true. Knowing when to leave is one of the most sophisticated forms of power, because when you withdraw consciously, you break the other person's expectations, you interrupt the flow, you create absence. And absence, when used well, generates impact. As Niccolo Machiavelli would teach, the calculated use of force lies not only in confrontation, but also in strategic withdrawal. Not all presence strengthens you. In many cases, remaining available, insisting, trying to resolve, only puts you at a disadvantage. Those who understand this know that constant presence can be interpreted as necessity. And necessity in this type of dynamic reduces your power. Imagine a situation where someone tries to wear you down, whether emotionally, professionally, or even socially. Discussions that lead nowhere, relationships that drain energy, environments where you constantly have to explain yourself. Most people persist, trying to resolve, justify, correct, but those who master this level do something different. They withdraw. Without fanfare, without drama, without excessive explanation, they simply leave, and this movement creates a strong psychological effect. Because the other person loses access, they lose control of the interaction, and often they only realize the value of your presence when it's no longer available. This connects directly to the principle of avoiding being hated, but also not being easily accessible. You don't need to confront or prove anything. You just need to no longer be there. And that, in itself, completely changes the dynamic. But here's the most profound point. Controlled withdrawal isn't escape. It's a choice. It's knowing that you don't need to win every battle to win the game. It's understanding that your energy, your time, and your presence are limited resources and should be used strategically. Those who master this develop a kind of silent independence. They don't depend on validation, they don't need to be in every conversation, they don't get stuck in environments that don't add value. And this naturally creates an aura of power that's hard to explain. Because while many are trapped in exhausting dynamics, you're choosing where to be, and especially where not to be. And when someone realizes you can leave at any time, they start treating you differently. But this closes a cycle, because deep down, it all starts with something even simpler, knowing when to be silent. Now let me ask you a question. How many times have you reacted when you should have observed? How many times have you talked too much, explained too much, exposed yourself more than necessary? And only afterwards did you realize that it was used against you? Most people live like this, on autopilot, reacting, defending themselves, trying to control everything without realizing that in the real game, whoever moves the most reveals the most. But you just saw another way. A path where power doesn't lie in brute force, but in a silent strategy. Silence as pressure, rhythm as control. Emotion is something to be kept safe, not given away. Attention is like a currency that you decide who to give it to. This isn't about manipulating, it's about not being manipulated. It's about understanding that the world doesn't function based on idealism, but on decisions based on real human nature. Now the question is simple and uncomfortable. You'll continue reacting as always, or will you start playing differently? Because from the moment you start to see this game, you can no longer pretend you don't know. And tell me in the comments, which of these strategies do you already use, even without realizing it? And which one do you know you need to start applying today? If this type of content has opened your mind in any way, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Because here, you don't just learn how to defend yourself, you learn to understand the game and play it better than most.